Hi, this is Greg Suddy on Soccer, and I am so stoked to be here with Danny Waltman. Thank you so much, Danny Waltman, goalkeeper for the Tacoma Stars, for joining me today, along with Lola. Uh, Before we came live, Lola was being pretty vocal, and she's kind of decided not to be a part of this, I guess, for the last couple of minutes anyway. But yeah, Lola's in the background there with Danny. Thank you, Danny, for joining me.
Thanks for having me. We're happy to be here. Lola's stoked. She's been bouncing around all morning. She's been quiet. So hopefully she stays quiet, but we might have to move. We'll see.
No, she's great. She's great. She's kind of doing a dance behind you. That's pretty fun.
She's a double yellow-headed Amazon parrot.
Okay, that's great. What is
that was Ashley's arm right there. Beautiful life.
Yeah, I saw Ashley there too. Yeah. So Danny, let's get started where things got started. You were born in Gig Harbor, Washington, which I find really interesting because, I mean, that literally is just right outside of Tacoma, and an opposite from Tacoma, from Kent. So you're like working and living and playing back in the hometown.
That's right. I'm living on the streets. You know, I used to terrorize as a kid, egg houses. You know, I might have egged my house when I was 15, 16, not sure. It's a little blurry. I egged a lot of houses, but no, I feel very fortunate to be where I am. I really feel like the luckiest guy in the world. Be back home. No disrespect to the Midwest, but kind of felt like I was going to be stuck out there for good. And just was real fortunate. The Stars came back about 8 years ago, and I was able to jump ship and come with them.
By the way, here, David DeRico is just saying all hello to you and I in the chat room there.
Got glitched.
Yeah, so let's go to when you first started playing club soccer. So how old were you when you started playing for Solaris 81?
That was the U12, U13 year. The big club was coming in, FC United, with this European name, and that was in Tacoma. Everybody wanted to play there. I wanted to play there. And there was this individual team that won the state finals before, and the dads were all Tacoma Stars or ex-Tacoma Stars, Jimmy McAllister,
Oh, wow.
Jeff Stock, and their kids were playing. And so my dad knew them and really pushed me to be on that team. And that was in Federal Way. It was, even from Gig Harbor, it's about 45 minutes, and had to carpool with some other kids to get there a few times a week. But it was really beneficial for me to be on that team, and I think made a huge difference for me, just being around those guys and having the dads that played pro and
wow, yeah.
Had that kind of experience. It just made for, we all thought we were going to play pro soccer right then from 12. It was kind of just laid out, and knew all the moves to make, and that, just having that experience, paid dividends. And I'm sure it would have been good at FC United, but we had some good battles over the years with that club, and that club has since grown into combined everybody in the state, but we didn't do that well when we left the state, and always competed semifinals, quarterfinals at regionals, but never won.
Well, according to my notes,
Danny, and then 6 of us went to UW together.
According to my notes, Danny, you got Washington State champions each of the 7 years that you were there. Is that right, or was that in high school? No, it wouldn't be high school because you didn't go to high school for 7 years. But no, it says that my notes say that you got seven championships in Solaris. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, like I said, we won state every year. There wasn't a lot of competition within the state for our age group. We still and to go to other big tournaments. We just didn't really do all that. You win state in January, then you wait to go play regionals in June. It doesn't really work out for the Washington teams who are playing teams that win state and then go right to regionals. They're on on a hot fit, and we've all pretty much played high school and got less fit, and trying to put it back together for a couple weeks before we go to regionals, and never did that well.
So when you went to high school,
but it was an awesome experience. I still talk to all those guys.
That's awesome that you have that long-term relationship with some of those guys that you grew up with. That's incredible. When you went to high school, you started. Let me back up a little bit, Danny. So have you been playing goalie for your entire time in soccer? Did you ever play anything else?
Yeah, this is let me service announcement to all you young goalies out there and coaches as well. Make sure that all the goalies are getting as much time in the field as they are in goal. Even if they're exceptional goalies, once they're older, much older, 17, 18, you can maybe dial it in. But especially these days, the way that goalkeepers need to play out of the back with their feet, it's so important. But I was stuck in goal, put in goal at an early age, and on a team, that was very good and had some glory. And I just, I loved playing goalie, but I didn't realize how much I loved playing soccer until it was kind of too late. And I was just, too far down that goalie track. And not to say that everybody's like me and could have, should have played a different position, but just it's very important that every kid doesn't commit to being a goalie at a young age, in my opinion. Experience all over the field, and then can really focus on it. And then if they are on one team, then hopefully they get like a chance on another team to play some field, or else they end up like me, playing men's league Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, kicking everybody from years of pent up aggression from being in the goal for so long. But no, that's Danny, that's the real me. If anybody wants to see the real Danny Waltman, come to the Tacoma Soccer Center on Tuesdays, Wednesday nights, and you'll see the real Danny Waltman running around.
Well, there's the invitation right there. Danny, is it true that is it accurate? I should say, is it accurate that during your high school years, your team went undefeated all 4 seasons?
Definitely in league, maybe. And I feel like that. I feel like we did lose one game, and we definitely lost in the later rounds of the state tournament every year. I think it was semis, quarters, or maybe it was quarters, semi, something like that. But we lost. So there's some false information. My dad might have put a lot of this information out there, and
gotcha.
His memory is pretty selective, but
okay, well,
the Wikipedia, he probably wrote that, But no, we had a really good high school team too, and even now, I think Bellarmine won state. Maybe not last year, but the year before. Like, the talent pool is always pretty good at that school. Most of the kids there play club soccer, and the coaching staff there is exceptional, and always going to be a competitive program. I would love to coach that program one day, but not yet. There's some good guys out there, but
so Danny, you've mentioned your father a couple of times. Danny, you've mentioned your father a couple of times. Talk a little bit about his story with an involvement for indoor soccer.
He's the best dad in the world, first of all, and really supportive of anything that I ever wanted to do, and knew that I wanted to play sports, and came into, he was a football guy. He was a lacrosse guy, rode crew in college. So he was a serious athlete, but never seen a soccer ball. And then got to move to Washington, and we went to a soccer camp, me and my brother, and had free tickets to the Stars game. And sure enough, we went and had the best time. And my dad just maybe had, the best time, and was like, bought season tickets, I think, at that game, if not the next day, and was, calling and investing in the team, and soon was working in the front office. And shortly after, a couple years later, is the GM of the Stars. And it was just a huge part of our life. And I was the kid hanging around the locker room at practice. Just all those stars were kind of my uncles, my cool uncles, all of them. That's kind of how they felt. And those guys would come over all the time for dinner and Thanksgiving. And honestly, I'll never forget Kia. You remember Kia?
Yes.
Kia, the guy was so lightning fast on the field.
Yeah.
But his muscles, his fast twitch muscles, they were so fast. He came over and he played our old school Nintendo. And you had the big controller, the big controller with the track and field. And the track and field games, you had to it was all about how fast you could push it. But we couldn't do any of these games. And he came over and he was just like, ee! And the meter would just fly up. And my brother and I couldn't believe it. And so that was the Thanksgiving one year. Is Kia just breaking all these records on my Nintendo track and field. It was, that was just what we did. And the Tacoma Soccer Center, where the Stars practice, I was playing youth soccer there when I was, 6, 7 years old, but I was also going to Stars practice there, when I must have been, 8, 9, 10. So we're practicing in there now. It smells the same, looks the same. They don't have the video games. Back then, they had this unbelievable arcade pop shot. They don't have that anymore, but it's still the same place. And so it's just all it's cool to still be a part of it. And it's all just it's always been a huge part of our life. The Stars. It was the most enjoyable 20 nights of the year. The 20 home games at the Tacoma Dome. And
Danny, what do you remember? What do you remember about your what are some highlights, I should say, about your time at the University of Washington?
Oh man, man, that's a great question. I had some good times there. I'm seeing a lot of things flash before my eyes. I'm trying to see what's appropriate to talk about. There was 6 of my club teammates. We all went there together, and we just had the best time playing and living. And UW was just an awesome college, and it's its own little city in Seattle. And I just loved everything about it. Stayed there for 7 years. No, I did have to finish online though, because I went to go play, and so it did take me 7 years. But let's see, playing there, honestly, it was just a real growing experience for me. I kind of learned how to, I guess, be a pro, if you will. We had the Sounders around there a lot, and we were really kind of shown the way, the path forward, which wasn't nearly as great as it was now. I couldn't even imagine being like a UW soccer player now and looking at the Sounders and just oh my gosh, can I get that? Because when we finished, we knew the situation, it was still A-League soccer, right? It was kind of still going to be a part-time thing. You were going to have to coach a lot, right?
Right.
But you could play and coach and make it work, and it's super fun,
Right.
you know. And so now I couldn't even imagine just like, you know, the how much it's grown, and just everybody would be just trying so much harder, I feel like, to get there, because it just wasn't as desirable. Not everybody in my locker room was like, oh man, I want to go pro, you know. A lot of people were, but everyone's kind of like, yeah, we know what that's like, and I could also go get a job. So now it would just be like, I'm sure everybody's trying to even hardly go to class, you know. You're just there to get seen, and somebody pick me up quick, you know. I'll finish college online somewhere, you know. But honestly, the best memory from that was the last game I played was at St. Louis University, and it was the round of 16, and I had no idea they even played soccer in St. Louis, you know.
Oh, really?
But, yeah, and so the crowds we've had, you know, 2,000, whatever, we show up there, it is like slammed all four sides. I've never seen anything like it, played in a game like it. I'm going, whoa, St. Louis, all right, you know. And we played this game, and it was a pretty good back and forth game. And I remember when they scored on me, I couldn't believe the sound. I'd never heard such a sound, and I was just like, wow. I want to do this. You know, I've played a lot of big games, but where this stadium is like jacked, it kind of had the feeling of like Lutton Town. You see now the Lutton Town games with the real small, because it was like that, but it was slammed. And these kids are just all these students are just yelling at me, man. It was just like, it was just electric. The game was just electric. And, you know, that's what that's honestly what's been the most enjoyable part about playing in the indoor league, is that like those games are like the big games. They're just electric. It's, you know, and you're buzzing you can't sleep at night, win or lose, you know. You can't sleep all night long, and you just, you know, you're so buzzed from the game. And I just saw that USA Mexico game with that slam crowd, you know, 6,600 or whatever. I was, you know, it makes me want to get back some, you know, and playing some big games, because, you know, that's what it's all about. As I look back, you know, on just playing big games in front of some big crowds. And, you know, we've never made a ton of money, so I can't really, you know, say what that's like, but I'm sure at that level, they're still saying the same, you know, it's the big game, the crowd, you know, it's that buzz that you play for. And, I still want to be a part of it, you know, as I'm sitting here injured on the sidelines, you know, kind of with a uncertain future. That's what I think about. I think about being in the locker room when you can hear the crowd and the buzz when you're out there for the, you know, the national anthem, and then, you know, all the sounds of the game, all that stuff, the kind of, you're so zoned in. It's like a time warp, you know, and everything is involved in it. And, you know, we realize that and I need that, because I guess I think most probably players need it, but goalies especially, like, it's to go out there and put your face in front of Frank Tayu, Nick Pereira's shot in front of no fans, or like for a little bit, you know, what am I doing this for? But, you know, you get a couple thousand people there, you don't even feel it. And, but in the morning at the soccer center, the cold soccer center, trust me, I feel it. You know, you get that little stinger here, destroys your nipple. You know, that's the worst. You know, that's the little 8 a.m. nipple shot.
Well,
you're like,
hey,
man,
Danny,
is it still there?
Danny, can you you mentioned the injury? Can you sort of elaborate on what happened, what you've gone through as far as rehab, and what you do think it is before you're going to play again?
Yeah, I went to throw a ball, and end of the season in Mesquite, towards the end of the season. And Chacunte got in my way. And I felt like he grabbed my arm. And I watched the tape and he didn't grab it. But I really feel like, he got in my way. And I really feel like goalkeepers have always been exposed that way. And I've almost gotten hurt that way a lot. And I did get hurt that day. And so I would like to see some kind of rule change, protection for goalies, when they get into a throw or when they're, you can't touch them, something like that. It's just such a dangerous, exposed position. Right. And so anyway, I got a little personal there, but anyway, I just felt my arm just explode in there. I thought I was done. And the funniest thing looking back is that, like, I was really mad. I was trying to get at Chacunte. I was trying to get at the referees. I was mad. I thought my season was over. Possibly everything, right there. And I probably stopped the game for maybe 10 minutes. And the Mesquite crowd starts to boo me like hard, like hate boos. I've been booed a lot, and there's boos. I'm just here to boo you. But this was like hate boos. This was like, fellas, I don't want to walk back to the hotel alone kind of boos. And so they're booing me, and I'm like, okay. And it's a goal throw at that point. Like, they called it a foul or something. So the referee's like right there. And so he hands me the ball, and they just boo me like so hard. And then for the rest of the game, every touch, every save, every whatever, just boo, hate boos. And I think I went into the huddle and I was like, fellas, we have to win this game. We were up a few goals and playing well. I was like, guys, I don't care if we win any other game this season. We have to win this game. And then you all have to walk me back to the hotel so I don't get my ass kicked. And then, the rest of the game, they booed me so hard and we won. And that was it. And, I was able to finish the rest of the season, but I was garbage. I couldn't move explosively. I couldn't throw even in the playoff game. Like, I knew I couldn't throw, but I had Jamel, I think, running. And I was like, if I get him, he's gone, he's in. And I went for it and just like short armed it completely. The guy chested it, came forward, ended up being a goal. And I even had some fan come up to me, man, didn't you used to be able to throw it like the length of the field?
Oh man,
I heard that story like secondhand. He didn't say it to me, but he said it to like another dude. That was pretty funny.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I finished the season, and then it was a real struggle to get surgery approved, and I finally got it approved, and sorry to drag it on. Yeah. But I'm 4 months in to complete rotator cuff repair and bicep tendon repair. They had to move it. And, the recovery time is 6 to 9 months. So just doing the math, that, puts me deep into the season. And I feel like I'm way ahead of those timelines, and I'm feeling good.
Oh, good.
Those are the timelines. So still taking it day by day. The real reality is I can do like 2 push-ups right now, and I can lift like 15 pounds over my head. And this range of motion is pretty good right here,
Okay.
It's quite there. And so maybe once I can do.
How's this range of motion?
Man, I can do all this stuff, but I don't know if I could throw a ball or right now. I feel like I could hand you a plate of food right now. I didn't feel like I could do that last week. You know what I mean? So I'm just making little bits of progress. But as far as this season goes, it's going to be just. I feel like I am going to be healthy at some point in this season. And
okay, good. So
see
Danny,
what jobs are available at that point, I guess.
so Danny, let's rewind a little bit. At the point that you are still in getting out of college, um, had you had any experience playing indoor soccer by that time?
Just playing with friends, and I grew up playing indoor, so it wasn't totally foreign, and I felt like I'd seen enough indoor games growing up that I kind of knew what I was doing, but I really didn't know what I was doing. But I knew a little bit. I knew some things, but I remember my first couple years coming in, I could make saves, but as far as playing out of the back and running an offense and controlling the game with your feet and knowing everything else, that took a long time to get. And I was fortunate enough just to be on an expansion team and was able to play right away. You know, if I went to a different team that had an experienced goalkeeper, I definitely would have sat. And then my third year, I got traded to Detroit, and I played behind Sonaldo, and
Right.
and with Everton, with Ricardinho, with Chili Farias, with Matt Johnson, with some just real experienced guys that, you know, showed me how to play out of the back. That's where I learned how to and you couldn't play over two lines in the air at that you know, those first few years. So forget three-line violation. Bullies couldn't even play it over two lines. So for me, if I just cleared it without it being a counterattack or without being a two-line violation or a top of the arc, that was a success. Forget trying to complete a pass and find a guy. It was like, Danny cleared it, safe, good, we're good. And so I played, and it wasn't, and then I played with Sonaldo, and this guy's like scooping the ball over dudes and Megan guys, and you know, he got himself in plenty of trouble, but his composure on the ball is arguably the best. And, you know, being Brazilian futsal goalie, you know, he had an edge on all of us. And so I really learned how to play out of the back there. And then they took away that rule, and I felt like the game came a lot easier. And then they changed the rule again, one back pass. And so, you know, game me even easier. It's like, okay, I have to do even less. So I'm waiting for them to just say the goalies can't leave their box. I'll play for 20 more years.
Well, hey, you know what? I mean, you've got 20 now. Isn't this your 20th? Wouldn't this be your 20th season?
I don't know. I think it's 19, really.
Okay. All right.
I guess, you know.
Well, you were playing with the Detroit Ignition. You went outdoors for 16 games with the Riverhounds in Pittsburgh, didn't you?
I did. So if you want to count some outdoor pro seasons, I'm at 20 if you count the Sounders and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. But man, it was rough. Hard to look back at that one and feel like that was a professional experience too. That was the Riverhounds now play at like this professional stadium down by the water. It looks awesome. I played at a high school on turf. It really felt like high school soccer game feel. And it was rough. That team was, I joined that team mid, you know, the season overlapped. So I got there. No one was in charge. And then me personally, I hadn't played outdoor in a long time. So I was like an indoor goalie playing outdoor. Ironically, like that was during the long ball goalie days. I was like playing short, and like they didn't like that. Those defenders didn't want that. You know, they're just like, kick it long. What are you doing? And nowadays it'd be completely different. Like it'd be, man, I'm ready. Let's go. Ping, 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 ping. Throw in the middle, ping, outside, ping.
That's right.
So, yeah, way more fun to be a goalie these days than it was when I was a goalie. And then
So now, Danny, this whole period of time, I mean, we're talking from when you first signed with Chicago, and then you go to Detroit, and then you play the outdoor series with the outdoor games with Riverhounds in Pittsburgh, and then you end up signing with the Rockford Rampage. and then from there you go to the Missouri Comets. Now we're talking a long time in the Midwest. I
Yeah.
mean, you're spending. I mean, I know a little bit. I lived 5 years in St. Louis, so I'm a little bit familiar with what it's like coming from the West Coast and living in the Midwest. And it's a little different. I mean, not to say that Seattle and San Diego are the same place, because they're not, but they're still West Coast, and that's not the Midwest. And it's a little bit of a different culture out there. Talk a little bit about the time you were with the Rockford Rampage for a short time before you went to Missouri. Is there anything that strikes your memory during your time with Rockford?
Oh man, Rockford was a fun year. Jeff Kraft was coaching, and it was just kind of like the Bad News Bears, that team. And but we got it done. We got it done. I ended up getting injured that year. That was a rough year. I had Everton fell on my leg, and my MCL blew up on the inside. So I ended up playing only the first, I think, 8 games. But we had a lot of fun. It was just unfortunate. I guess I was the team killer for a little bit. I was in Chicago. I got traded to Detroit. They folded. Then I got picked up by Rockford. They folded. and then Brian Budzinski called me up, said, I'm building a team in Missouri here. Why don't you be a part of it? I came out, had the best time playing with the Comets. And then, like I said, just real fortunate that the Stars came back. Lane Smith brought the Stars back, and
Well, I want to talk a little bit about. I want to focus a little bit about your time with the Comets, and the main reason I really want to do that is because there's a lot of current Comets fans that remember and loved you. You made a big hit back there. You're still a fan favorite for the Kansas City Comets fans. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit and just tell some stories. Talk a little bit about your time with the Missouri Comets.
I love my time in Kansas City. The Midwest is a tough place to live, just weather-wise. They're inside a lot. That's all. That's all. But everything else is great. And Kansas City is such a great town. You can get anywhere in 30 minutes, end to end, and it's got sports and it's got music and just when we opened up, we packed that place so many times. Just the return of the Comets after the long hiatus, that place was packed. And I remember I had such an awful game. We were just new as a team, and we opened up against the Milwaukee Wave, and we still took them, deep in the game. But for the first year, we struggled in Kansas City, and I heard a lot of change the goalie, and we want Pardo, who's the other goalie. And I remember giving high fives around the after the game, high fives. This one guy would pull his hand back every time when I would come by. It was not hiding it at all. I do not like you, and I remember, I wish I could figure out who that guy was. I feel like that guy maybe became a fan and didn't want to say anything, but it really motivated me to win over those fans. They expect high level soccer there. Even now, they get pretty upset when, things don't go well. Even the players do. It's a pretty fun place to play. And that talk about electric games. Yeah. I mean, we had so many games there where just all day I'm buzzing because I know that it's going to be, almost 6,000 people. There were games where I could not get tickets. No one could get tickets, given away or not, no one could get tickets. Fire marshals, making calls, all this stuff, you standing room only, all this, it was great. We had the best time playing there. And the Vlatko, was an incredible coach playing for Kim Rundved. He's an incredible coach too, just different kind of coaches, so just had a really awesome time playing there. And when I go back there, it just feels like it's a second home. I just watched a live stream of concert. This guy Billy Strings, he just played 2 nights there, and I'm looking and I can just recognize every little piece of that building in there. And then I'm looking at the pictures of them backstage and behind the scenes. It's like, man, I know that building so well. It's just kind of always be a part of that place. You know, they always say it's like your comets till I die. Yep. That's kind of how it is there, and I always feel that way, and love what they're doing, and love going back there to play. Hope that I get a chance, do it again.
So before we start talking about the Tacoma Stars, I want to sort of take a rabbit trail here. Let's talk about your music.
All right. That's why we're really here.
I love your bluegrass. Yeah, that's why we're really here. For those of you that are watching, when before we went on the air, when Danny came into the studio, he had his guitar in his lap. So I was wondering if he was going to give us some bluegrass tunes here, but maybe on a later time. But anyway, I love your music, Danny.
Thank you, appreciate it. We can close out with a tune. Always happy to play a tune.
That would be fun. I love your music. I asked you earlier when we were off the air. I asked you how long you've been playing bluegrass, because that's what some of us have gotten to know you by, as far as your music is the bluegrass. But tell us a little bit about your music and where it got started and what you love and what you're doing.
Yeah, love to play music, play guitar. Started playing in college and started learning Jack Johnson songs, and slowly kind of got exposed to jam bands, Grateful Dead, String Cheese Incident, and this guy Del McCurry. He's the Del McCurry band. He's an old bluegrass guy. He has a festival out in Maryland. I went to that festival, Del Fest, and they had a bluegrass band camp. So I went to band camp. Wow. And this one time at band camp, I became a bluegrass bass player, and that's like came home back to Washington, and all those, if you go to Craigslist, there's like a community section and then a musicians section. And if you click on that, there's all sorts of like guitar player wanted, bass player wanted, whatever, this kind of stuff. And I always looked at those and never felt confident enough, good enough to answer those. I always wanted to be in bands and stuff. And I came home from that. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. And I just like answer, I'm Danny, I got a bass, I want to play, and found some people and jumped around, and it's I found like kind of a solid group who I think I'm gonna play with as long as we're all alive and in town. And it's been super fun. It's been a fun little journey, playing backyard barbecues, playing farmers markets. The farmers market circuit around here is pretty big, super fun. And we played a couple shows at some local bars in Tacoma, Spanish Ballroom. It's like this cool Grateful Dead kind of bar. That was fun too. Actually sat like in the green room backstage, sound guy, free beers, I was like, oh man, we're rock stars. I think we each ended up making like $60 each, it's just like, we made it, guys. We made it, quit your day job. So it's just been really fun and kind of just a whole different adventure. You just never know kind of where it's going to go. If you told me I was going to play upright bass in a bluegrass band, even 10 years, I would have been like, you're crazy. And then, to have a Grateful Dead cover band and to write whatever, a bunch of songs, which I would, that's why I feel like anybody can do it. Cause if you think what I'm doing is cool, like there was one point where I couldn't even hold a guitar, and I just lived with some dudes in college and was like, oh man, show me how to play Stairway to Heaven, Stairway to Heaven. Show me how to play Bubble Toes by Jack Johnson. Show me how to and it just kind of grew from there. And in the bluegrass world, I mean, the jam switch, you just walk up to a circle and you just kind of walk in, oh, we're gonna play this song. What's the key? Cool, and then you can kind of get through it for the most part. And then if you do it long enough, chances are you've played that song 150,000 times. So you're just like, oh, rolling in my sweet baby's arms, and hey, cool, let's do it. You know, and it's an awesome thing, and still going. And I'd love to, you know, the dream is to be touring in some tour buses. I would love to have you come on and just be like, Greg, we're doing it. Get on the bus, man. Bring your lizard.
That is so cool.
Let's go. Yeah, I really want to do it. You know, just I think that it's the most fun performing. You know, that's, you know, I'm an entertainer. I'm an entertainer at heart. I really just want to entertain people. And it started when I was a young kid, you know, being that kid who would show off and just do all the things that no one else would do. And it got me into a lot of trouble, you know. Oh, you want to throw that? I'll throw that. Give me that. Oh, you know, just for the entertainment value. And, you know, playing soccer, that's, you know, I want to entertain people. And I look back at the time in Kansas City and time in Rockford. I just, you know, I hope I entertained people for a little bit. You know, that's really that's kind of what we do, you know, like we're not gonna make, hopefully one day we do make the big money that the MLS making, that the big pro leagues are making, that the NHL is making. That'd be crazy if you want to compare it to, you know, an arena sport. But but we do get the thrills, the same thrills, I feel like they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
So Danny, one of the things that I find, and I don't know when I made this connection or if it's kind of a no-brainer connection, but playing music, playing guitar specifically, and playing goalie puts pretty much everything on your hands, literally on your hands. I mean, everything that you're doing requires healthy hands. Your fingers can't be broken. You got to be able to, you know, have articulation in your hands. And you know, everything we see you do, everything any of your people online anyway, or in the stands, anybody sees you do has something directly related to your hands. And I wonder if that's just something that's kind of happened, or if you've always sort of been articulated that way. I mean, did you ever play any hand sports? Did you play baseball, or did you play anything else that was about that?
I definitely played baseball, and always felt like I could make the catch, you know, whether it was at recess playing football or it was,
there you go.
You got to throw me that cell phone over this ravine. I have to catch it. Like I'll catch it, you know, I don't know.
There you go.
That's I always felt that way. But yeah, I feel like too, if you talk to any goalie in this league, any goalie in particular, their fingers are all messed up. And, you know, I got my fair share of some crooked fingers in there. But I feel like I made it out okay, you know. Thankfully I could still play. And I had this fat knuckle for a little bit. So when I first got married, I couldn't get my ring over that knuckle really, but I was able to get over it finally. And then it was swimming down here. This one still swims, but then one day it was gone. Like the knuckle, it healed enough. And so that ring was gone. And so I kind of had to downsize. So I lost the original, but I got another one and we'll see. Size 12. That's where I'm at.
So let's talk a little bit about the Tacoma Stars. Lane Smith decides to bring them back, contacts you. You have an opportunity to come back and play, and you get to go home. You get to come home and play indoor soccer with the Tacoma Stars. Let's talk about your time with the Tacoma Stars.
Man, it's been the best times. Even last night at the soccer center, we're having a kick around. You know, 30 guys showed up and we played 4 quarters. I watched, obviously, but the boys are buzzing, and it's just an awesome locker room. You know, I laughed so much last night. You know, we talk about that. You know, our locker. You know, we may have not won the most games, but we definitely like laughed the most as a group. And I don't know if you can, you know, put a price on that or measure how much benefit that has in your life. You know, but it's definitely significant. And guys leave our locker room and they want to come back. You know, Chris Toth is a good example.
Yep.
And then we just signed. I don't know if we signed him, but I don't want to misspeak. But Rafael Cox went down to San Diego to do some coaching, and then he came back to coach in Washington and play for us again. You know, and I remember I saw him down when we went to San Diego and played this year, and it was the first year that he wasn't playing, and he was coaching down there at San Diego. UC San Diego State. I'm sorry, Ralph, I'm messing that up. But anyway, first thing he said, I haven't seen the guy in 8 months, maybe. First thing he says, I said, Ralph, how you doing? Good to see you. And he just goes, I was like, how you doing? He goes, well, I'm not playing. So there's that.
Oh,
like,
oh, wow.
First thing out of his mouth. And yeah, I was like, I get it. You're living down here in San Diego and you're coaching college soccer, but yeah, you're not playing with us anymore. And you can't replace that with anything. And that's why I'm 42 and trying to stay in it. You know, that's why I'm doing physical therapy every chance I get. I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to stay in it. And yeah, I want to be in the locker room still, and I want to be playing cards, you know, at the airport. And and I want to play in some big games. I really feel like I have felt like for years, I have to admit that the league has always been kind of boiling, about to boil over, and just needs some kind of catalyst, and then crowds will be there. I don't, you know, I feel that way, and I'd hate to walk away from it. And even though I want it to happen, whether I'm involved in it or not, you know, I would hate to walk away and go, man, look at this crowd. I can still do this, you know. I want to be out there. And, you know, I think I'll always want to do it. Even if the day I can't play, I'm sure I want to coach just like Everton, just like all the guys do, just because it's.
So Danny, a lot of the I mean, not a lot, maybe not a lot, but there are some cities in the league, Kansas City, Utica, maybe, or a couple that could be used as examples that are kind of. I mean, they're you know, everybody's playing in smaller arenas now than back in the 80s and 90s, but they're bringing in pretty close to full houses in a few of the cities that are able to do it. Maybe, I mean, the last time I was in Milwaukee, that was a pretty packed house. There are some cities that are able to bring back that electricity and get the fans back in the stadiums. Talking about big games, I don't know how you guys look at all-star games in the sense of being a big game necessarily, but I remember the MASL All-Star game, the only one that they've had played in Kansas City. And for you, that was a big game. I mean, you were standing on your head, buddy. That was an outstanding game for you.
That was a fun night. That was a game I'll never forget.
No kidding.
Yeah. Just a bunch of, you know, so many nights. It's one of those nights, every goalie's had them, where, you know, everything's hitting you or hitting a post or hitting a player and somehow not going in. Whereas other nights, you know, you feel like Swiss cheese. You've never played the game before, and you can't get a piece of anything. And so that was one of the good nights. And you know, I ate the same thing for breakfast, did the same pregame routine, you know, as I always do. But, you know, it just happened on that night.
Well, I had traveled to Kansas City for the game, and my brother lives in Overland Park, and so he and I went to the game together, and we were sitting up in the top section where at Dahmer Arena, we were sitting up I don't know, it's the press level up high, and about halfway through the third quarter, maybe at the end of the third quarter, he leans over to me and he says, Danny Waltman's getting the MVP. He did. I mean, and I'm not kidding. Before the fourth quarter started, he just leans over to me. He says, "Danny Waltman's getting the MVP. You watch. This guy's in a zone tonight. This guy's in a zone tonight, and he's going to win the whole dang thing. Watch this."
Well, so yeah, that was cool. That was a cool night. You know, funny thing about that is that I really didn't plan on playing. We kind of just went in there to win the game, and Toth was kind of the starter and had the year, so it was kind of his game, and I really didn't think I was going to play. And we kind of made the deal, like if it was close, he was going to stay in, and just no point to switch us and no point to kind of break the rhythm. And it was just real more important that we won. You know, we kind of took it that way.
Right.
And then he came to me at halftime, and I think it was only two. We were up 2-1 or 2-0. 2-1. I want to say maybe 2-1. And he, you know, he said, "You're in." And I said, "You sure? Like, I think you should stay in." And he just kind of said, "No, you're in." I think, and I just kind of like, okay. And we went out there and did it, and it worked out. So maybe.
Well, you and Chris Toth have a relationship. I mean, you guys have played on the beach soccer team together. You guys have been teammates as well as opponents. You know, throughout your careers. So you guys have a good relationship. I have to imagine that you're close friends as well.
Man, he's a great dude. He's always been good to me. On the beach team, kind of bringing me in and showing me the ropes and letting me carry his gloves and stuff like that. You know, no, he's an awesome dude, really, and he's an amazing goalie. I remember I was in San Diego for the first U.S. Mexico game a long time ago. I think he was only 23 at the time. And I remember we were all sitting around eating whatever, and guys were like, you know, saying something like, "Man, you should come here to San Diego." And I just looked over and I said, "You guys have Chris Toth over here. Kid's mastered the game at age 23. Right. You know, I started at 23 and was lost, you know, and most of us, the goalies, you don't start until much later. And so,
right.
Yeah, I can't say enough good things about the guy, man. He trains harder than anybody. Takes everything, you know, as professional and as it gets, whether it's a beach tournament or the, you know, side tournament, anything. Guy's just always in top-notch shape. And, you know, when he came here to play for the pandemic. You know, neither of us want to sit. You know, that's the reality. You know, that's not any secret. We both want to play every game, but we're also, the coach decides who plays, and we're there to support each other. And we were training so hard, and I thought, honestly, I felt the sharpest maybe I ever felt. And I don't know if he can say the same, but he definitely was sharp. And, you know, hopefully I can get back and kind of jump right back in there and kind of push him and try to get some games. And, but he's honestly, it was like a no-brainer. I called him the first day that I really thought I was not going to be around, not going to be healthy. I was like, Chris, you got to come up here, man. There's no one else. And, you know, if you're available and you want to come back, you know, I know we'd love to have you, and just let you know that I'm probably busted for a while. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they made the deal quick, and we're happy to have him. And honestly, like, if I never play again, you know, couldn't be happier to see him come in and
well, you know, Danny, it's talking about relationship. Still, the other thing too about Chris is that there's a lot of relationship between him and Nick Pereira. There's a lot of relationship between him and Evan McNeely. I mean, these are guys that know each other are friends together, like each other. And so whenever you have that kind of chemistry, all the way from the top to the bottom, from the target forward to the goalie into the back, to the front office, that kind of relationship is going to work well. What do you see for the Tacoma Stars this season?
And I got big expectations for this group. Always had the talent has always been here. The issue has never been talent. The issue has been consistency. The issue has been just other conflicts with the team as far as like commitments. Haven't had the same group available every day.
Right.
Just been a lot of that with this team. And the past year before that, I think we've really put a lot of things right off the field and getting back to kind of where we were when Darren started this thing 8 years ago, Darren Sawatsky. And the talent that we've added, the players that we've added, the Willie Spurk, Matt Bream, the continuity of all the guys, you're some players are going to be working on their 9th year, Corey Keats, Chase Hansen, Mike Ramos. I think he took a couple years off, so he's like on 7 years, but those guys have all been around. And talk about relationships, you can't buy brotherhood, you can create, you can get teams to be cohesive, but guys that have played together for almost 10 years, that's something. You're talking about like Baltimore Blast stuff, Milwaukee Wave stuff, and so I have pretty high expectations. Toti's hot, he's had a great summer. He's going to be flying, and Nick's on fire. Mike Ramos is looking great. And then it's difficult to figure out who the next 14 are going to be. There's for the first year, maybe for the first time, we're going to have some serious like competition. I think another problem being, we could guarantee that these guys are going to play because we don't have anybody else. Like we had 14 available for this trip, we had 15 available, as opposed to like, we have 23 guys that are trying to get into this.
Right.
Yeah. Roster this weekend. And so
Danny, I've got a question for you. And you may or may not have an answer for it, but in February, the Beach Soccer World Cup is going to be taking place, and I have to assume that Nick Pereira and Chris Toth are both going to be in Dubai. What's going to be, or Abu Dhabi, whichever one it's going to be at? I think it's Dubai. What's the team going to do for that period of time?
I'm not sure. You're going to have to talk to coach on that one, but
wow. I mean,
what happened the other year that
that's
they
a
can
rough
get the
conflict.
job done. But we have that's a rough comp. There are some conflicts, and we'll just have to see what happens come that time.
All right. So
we have guys here.
I've got
lined up.
I've got one. I'm sorry, Danny. I've got one fan here that before the season, before the show even started, he shot me, a bank of questions that he wants me to ask Danny Waltman.
Yeah, shoot.
So I'm not going to go through all of them. Yeah, I'm not going to go through all of them. Favorite player with and favorite player against.
Oh man, my favorite player with has probably got to be. I'm just gonna have to give it to the big dog. Give it to the big dog, Nick Pereira. He's just. When I look up, I just play that guy the ball, any kind of ball, and I just have to basically keep it in bounds, and he's gonna bring it down and do some magic.
Yeah, no kidding.
I got to give it up to the big man. There's a lot of guys that are going to be maybe hurt by that, but there's the close, very close seconds, and thirds out there. But I had to pick one, and just I don't know. I feel like we got a thing now. It's pretty good.
How about again?
After so many years, playing against, I'd probably have to say, Ian Bennett. Just got to give him all the respect in the world, man. That guy started off.
He's amazing.
Could not score, could create all day, could not score to save his life, and then all of a sudden found his scoring touch and became the complete player we all knew he was going to be. And he looks the same as he did when we first came into the league together. And people think what I'm doing is cool at 42, but he's the same age, and he's gonna do it honestly until he's 52, and he's going to be the first, I think, to play until he's 50. And so I'm rooting for him.
So bitterest rivals.
Man, most bitter Baltimore Blast. Come on now, Baltimore Blast. Come on, the Blast. Just like I had too many playoff battles with them in Kansas City, and that is just like, and it's just jealousy. It's jealousy, man. They're so good when the games matter. They don't care. They don't care about early season games. They show up for the playoffs and the finals. That's when those guys really get out of bed.
Favorite away cities. And he's asking the question.
Favorite away cities?
Yeah, he's asking the question in plural, so you can name 2 favorite away cities.
Man, I love coming to San Diego. There's no question about it. Go to San Diego, get to the hotel, get a taxi over to Mission Beach, and walk the boardwalk with a smoothie. There is nothing better.
Nice.
Nothing better.
Okay.
I tell you, and there's been a few road trips where we had an extra day, and so I would rent a surfboard from Hamill Surf Shop, and get tossed around in the waves a little bit. So it kind of makes it better because we usually get pummeled by the Sockers, so it always made it a little okay. At least we get a little beach time while we're down here, and. I used to I loved going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee was just like such an awesome town. We stayed downtown at the Hilton there, and just had such a real downtown feel.
No kidding, huh?
That was something cool. And then there's they like to party in that town, so there was always there was always places to go afterwards, and I felt like they were just. Awesome crowd, first of all, and then you'd go out and hang out in freezing cold, like walking from wherever restaurant to the bar, just absolutely freezing.
Yeah.
But I had some loved Milwaukee as a town. And
I went to the championship game when Monterey played Milwaukee in Milwaukee, and
I was there.
Yep, and it had a similar experience to what you're talking about because my hotel was stumbling distance from the arena, and so after the game, and it was after the game, walking over to the game, it was a sunny day. It was before the game started, it was a sunny day, but after the game was over, it started to rain, and so it was cold and wet, and exactly what you're talking about, stumble into the restaurant, grab a sandwich, stumble over to the bar, have a beer, stumble back to your room, call it a night.
Yeah, just freezing, absolutely freezing the whole time. And then
it's a cool downtown experience.
It's very cool downtown. The the rest of the teams are kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. Independence, Missouri, it's like you're staying right next to a Cabela's. That's like the exciting place.
Yeah, right.
So I love the Milwaukee feel. And then there's a water park in that hotel too. I don't know if guys still stay at that particular hotel. And there was always a wedding reception going on. So it's just
That's cool.
a zoo at that
Okay.
place.
So,
Yeah.
so next question. So this one sort of depends on if you've been following something online. I don't know how often you get into the online conversations or Facebook or any of that kind of thing, but over the last month, the San Diego Sockers have been doing a competition. It's been a voting competition of all of the jerseys that they've had since the beginning of time. And the question is, if you have a favorite Sockers jersey design.
My favorite Sockers jersey, man, honestly, like I like the blue, the retros that you guys were wearing recently. Okay. I don't know if that's from any year, but
yeah, that was early.
Yeah, honestly, I'm classic white jersey, yellow Sockers across the front. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of what I see when I see Sockers.
There you go.
Sockers
okay.
Jerseys.
Let's see. Is going. I'm scrolling down these questions. How many broken bones?
Lots of broken bones. I read Bill Walton's book, and he starts off by talking about like he had 38 orthopedic surgeries.
Wow.
And I remember thinking that's a lot, but I'm getting up there. I'm not up to 38, but I'm in double digits for orthopedic surgeries, which is pretty crazy, and
indoors, as far as just indoors or outdoors better?
Indoors or outdoors better? I'd have to say indoor, but like I said, playing outdoor goalie these days might be more fun. Playing out of the back, that might be more. I never got to do that. So I was in the days of long ball and just kind of hang out, and I was on a pretty good team. So I stood back there a lot. And growing up in Washington in the rain, it sucked,
right.
A lot of cold days back there, just watching my team play up there, going, yeah, this is, I'm the goalie, and get to play indoor. The weather's always good and all that. No, you get 20, 25 shots a game, you get the ball with your feet. There's just, the real difference is like outdoor, you have time to think and you're thinking,
right.
You have to like keep your mind into the game, and you're like, oh, there's my dad out there. I wonder what he's doing. What should I eat later? Oh, did I pay my mortgage? It's just like all that. But indoor, you don't have a chance because you're so locked into the game, and that's something that the field players get to be involved in. But as a goalie,
right.
you have to keep yourself in the game actively. So that was kind of the beauty of indoor, just the action and then the fact that like the crowds are right on top of you, that's something. That is definitely part of it. I wouldn't do it if there was no crowds,
Danny, do you have a best soccer moment?
Best soccer moment. Man, I got a lot of good ones, but I do, one that comes to mind is I was talk about wanting to be a field player. I was playing for the Sounders, and the Brazilian community hired Bebeto, who is like a huge Brazilian soccer player. They invite him to come. They put together a Brazilian team to play against the Sounders, pretty much rent out the Sounders Stadium and try to sell tickets to the Brazilian community, make it a big deal. Schmetzer let all the starters have the day off, right? So I'm driving to the game. He calls me early in the morning and goes, Danny, I gave the starters the day, like they needed a day off. I wasn't going to play them in this game. I gave them the day off. I need you to get here. You're playing in the field. I have another goalie here. Like, I was just like, what? what? I'm playing in the field? What? I'm driving to Quest Field, I don't know how many people are going to be there. I pull in, it's like a full game. There's thousands of people there, and I'm putting on a field uniform. There it is, like Waltman, this Sounders jersey. I was just like, this is something, This is. I have to also say, I signed a rookie contract back in the day for $0. So I was putting in my time. They offered me a foot in the door, and I took it, and it helped me get to where I am today. But things have changed. So I was making $0, and driving to this, it was just an awesome experience. So anyway, I got to play in the game. I played outside midfield. All right, and I was not in like running shape. I've been in goalie shape, but we didn't run a lot. So anyway, I'm playing outside midi. Ball comes over the top. I'm like kind of coming in the corner of the 18. I see this ball coming in. Sure enough, like take a good touch into the box, and I smoked this volley near post. I felt like a better keeper maybe would have got it, but I smoked it, and I scored, and place went nuts.
Nice. Oh, how cool.
I remember I called my parents. My parents were coming to that game. I called them. I was like, are you guys coming? Because I'm playing in the field, and gave them a little kiss, So
how
that was
cool.
Yeah, scored a goal.
What a cool story. That is outstanding.
Scored a goal in that big stadium against a bunch of Brazilian amateur soccer players that they probably found, but still, like, that was a cool moment that I'll never forget, because I have dreams sometimes that like I score big goals in some big games, and there's some crowds there, and I don't know. So that really happened. And so we play at the Stars. We play like 2 truths and a lie all the time. Players have to tell stories, 2 truths and then 1 lie, and we all have to kind of guess which is the lie.
Right.
And we got to tell the stories. So yeah, it's a good game. We make everybody play it. Bus drivers, anybody, waitresses, like we make everybody play it. And so I always tell that one, and everybody thinks that one's the lie every time.
Wow,
like no one.
That's fun.
Like, I scored a goal playing for the Sounders. I don't. They all think it's a lie, but that happened.
All right, final question. Most memorable save.
Oh man, most memorable save. Oh man, let's see. Man, I got one good one. We're playing Las Vegas, first year with the Stars. Playing in Las Vegas. They're very, very good team, and they're playing well. We just jumped on them, got like a 3-0 lead, got some fluky goals, and then we defended like hell the rest of the night. And it was 5-3, then it was 5-4. Last few minutes, pulling the 6 attacker. Oh, and all game, I'm getting heckled by all these people from here. And I swear, they're not even watching the game. They're just like heckling me. The kids are getting involved. I'm hearing it from all sides. It got under my skin is all I'm going to say. And like, it became personal. And so we're playing, and Felipe Gonzalez was the 6th attacker. And I remember looking at the clock going like, there's 10 seconds left. There's 10 seconds. He dribbles up, and there was only 5 seconds. And I knew that, if I caught the ball, he shot it. And I knew if I caught it, it was over. And he shot it, and I snagged it. And I should have just kind of fallen and walked forward and started shaking hands. Instead, I turned around and I shot all those people behind me. Just shot them. And so I'm holding the ball, facing the goal, shooting all those people, right? Just yeah, this is for you. And so then the buzzer goes, game's over, we win. I turn around, their team is rushing me, like running at me. And then our team rushes, and we had some security guys, and we all get into a classic like soccer pushing scuffle. No one throws a punch, but that was a funny moment. And it was ironic. I mean, I was kind of happy to see. I wasn't happy to see, but I was okay that Las Vegas folded that year, and we haven't had to go back there since. So maybe if I do have to go back, hopefully everybody's forgotten about it, and those kids have grown up and gone to college or something. But
I wonder if Felipe Gonzalez remembers that.
Oh, we talk about it all the time, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a funny moment. And Mayor Cullen, I have to apologize to Mayor Cullen because I think a lot were like his family. However, I don't think they watched 1 second of the game.
Right.
I think they were just and the place there was no separation.
Right.
Between I could have punched anybody through the net, like their faces are like right there. They could have got hit with a ball. I was kind of hoping like maybe I'll just let this shot go in, tag this dude back here. So that was a moment, man. And that save, I remember just like that was kind of like slow motion. I just knew like I'm watching the clock and see him kind of dribbling. Okay, and then I see him winding up and shooting, and I just kind of like, I'm gonna catch this ball and shoot these fans behind me. Catch. It's just, that wasn't, that was just one of many saves that come to mind. But yeah, sorry to everybody out there in Vegas. I hope we're cool. Just
Danny, I love you so much. I always have. I appreciate you and your time. If you have a jam for us, we can close out for about a 4-minute song.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today, Danny.
Let's see, here we go. This one called Back to Washington, huh? Yes, I'm going back to Washington. Oh, yes, my days are done. Don't care if I never see the sun. I'm going back to Washington. Oh, yes, the place that is the best is way up in the great Northwest. It's the place where the skies are always gray. I'm going back to good old Washington today. Yes, I'm going back to Washington. Oh, yes, my days are done. Don't care if I never see the sun. I'm going back to Washington. In Washington, those folks are kind, even though it rains most all the time. It's the place to be, yes, everybody knows. Back to Washington is where I want to go. Yes, I'm going back to Washington. Oh, yes, my days are done. Don't care if I never see the sun. I'm going back to Washington. Let me take it one time. The other place I want to go is usually wet, always cold, where they're always in the rain and having fun. Oh, someone please take me back to Washington, 'cause I'm going back to Washington. Oh, yes, my days are done. Don't care if I never see the sun. I'm going back to Washington. Yes, I'm going back to Washington.
Thank you, Danny.
Thanks for letting me do that, Greg. It's fun.
Thank you, buddy.
I always get so nervous, man. Get that buzz.
Yeah,
you can't talk about playing soccer, those indoor games. You can't get that buzz anywhere else, and the other buzz that comes from playing music in front of people, you can't get that anywhere else. So
well, I appreciate you.
Thanks for doing all you do for this game, man. Let's blow it up. And I mean what I said. Hopefully I'm on a tour bus one day, and you can come with me anytime, man. You and your lizards are welcome. Up in the front bus. Up in the front bus.
All right. All right. I love you so much, Danny. Thank you much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
I love you too, man. Thanks a lot. And Lola says she's taking a nap. She wasn't impressed.
I guess not.